Welcome back to Night Terror. Put on your headphones, take a deep breath. Let's see how much your mind can handle before the sun comes up. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe for more bedtime stories. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there.
I knew something was off about the building when I started recognizing people I had never actually met. And it wasn't normal déjà vu or confusion. It was the kind of recognition that settles in your chest like an old memory, like I already knew how their voices sounded, or how they'd react to a joke before they ever spoke to me. I grew up in a housing project on the west side of the city, rows of aging brick buildings facing each other across a wide courtyard of cracked pavement and crooked light poles. The kind of place where everything looked tired but still stubbornly standing. During the day it was loud and alive, kids racing bikes, music leaking from car windows, neighbors arguing from balconies. But at night the entire space would flatten into this strange stillness that didn't feel peaceful, just paused, like someone had muted the world. Across from our building was another one that looked almost identical, but something about it always seemed slightly dimmer, like the sunlight didn't hit it the same way. I remember asking my brother once why their windows always looked darker, and he told me I just never paid attention at the right times. But I was paying attention, probably more than anyone else. When I started working late shifts at a warehouse and coming home after most people were asleep, that's when things began to feel wrong in a way I couldn't explain. One night I saw a group of men standing in the courtyard near a broken bench, not talking, not smoking, not even moving much, just gathered in a loose circle, staring down at the ground as if something was there. But from where I stood, I could see clearly that there was nothing between them, just empty concrete. As I walked toward my entrance, the courtyard light flickered slightly, and every one of them lifted their heads at the exact same time and looked directly at me. And I felt that heavy recognition again, like I had seen this before somewhere I couldn't place. I hurried inside and climbed to the second-floor landing, where you can see the courtyard from a narrow window. And when I looked out, they were still there, except now they were facing the building, not the spot on the ground, just standing and staring up at the rows of windows, as if waiting for someone to look back. The next morning I asked my mum if she'd noticed people gathering late outside, and she shrugged at first, but when I described how still they were her expression shifted slightly, and she told me not to focus on the other side, just mind ours. And the way she said it made it sound like the two buildings weren't the same place at all. After that, I started noticing patterns that weren't really patterns, just strange little echoes between our building and the one across from it, like someone stepping onto a balcony over there and leaning forward on the railing. Then seconds later, someone on our side leaning the exact same way, matching posture and angle like a delayed reflection. One afternoon I decided to test it and stood in the courtyard stretching dramatically, raising my arms high and rolling my shoulders, and out of the corner of my eye I saw a guy on the third floor of the opposite building lift his arms in the same exaggerated way, not like he was copying me for fun, but like he had no choice. And when I dropped mine, he dropped his a fraction of a second later, except it didn't feel like mirroring, it felt like something syncing up. The strangest part was the girl with the red scarf, because the first time I saw her, she was sitting on the steps of the opposite building, staring straight ahead with this calm, unreadable expression, and I had the overwhelming sense that I knew her name, even though I was sure we had never spoken. Days later, I saw her again, except this time she was sitting on our steps, same red scarf, same posture. And when I asked if she had just moved in, she looked at me steadily and said she had always been here. And when I told her I'd never seen her before, she replied that I had, just not from this side. And then she walked past me into our building and somehow vanished before reaching the first landing. After that, small details around me began to feel unstable, like I would walk into our kitchen and feel certain the refrigerator had once been on the opposite wall, or that the hallway had been slightly narrower, and I would greet neighbors by name without remembering when they told me, and they would look at me with a mix of confusion and discomfort, like I'd crossed some invisible boundary. One evening my brother casually mentioned that the courtyard looked newer, that the benches seemed replaced and the lights brighter, and I laughed at first because nothing had changed, but when I looked outside later that night, I felt a chill crawl up my back, because he was right. The courtyard looked cleaner and more intact, and the building across from us looked worn down in a way ours hadn't in years, like time had shifted unevenly between the two sides. The more I paid attention, the more it felt like the buildings were trading places in subtle ways, like one was slowly becoming the other when no one was watching directly. I started going outside at random times, trying to catch the moment something shifted, but it never happened while I was looking straight at it. Only after I turned away and looked back, like a detail had updated itself quietly. The last time I spoke to the girl with the red scarf, she was standing alone in the middle of the courtyard, and I asked her plainly what this place was, and she told me it was both, and when I asked both what, she simply said versions, and when I asked which one was real, she said the one you choose to stay in. I turned when I heard a door close behind me, and when I looked back at her, she was gone, and standing in the entrance of the opposite building was someone who looked exactly like me. Same hoodie, same stance, watching with an expression that wasn't threatening but deeply familiar, like he recognized me the way I had been recognizing everyone else. We stood there, separated by the courtyard, neither of us moving, and I couldn't shake the feeling that one of us belonged over there and one of us belonged here, and that somehow we had crossed paths without realizing it. Eventually, my mom called me inside, and when I looked again, he was gone and everything seemed normal, worn down and noisy and real. But even now, sometimes late at night when the courtyard goes still, I look out the window and notice tiny differences. A balcony that shouldn't exist, a hallway light glowing where it's usually dark, and every so often when I catch my reflection in the glass, it feels slightly delayed. Not copying me exactly, but adjusting, like it's deciding whether to stay where it is or step fully into my place. And the worst part is, I'm not completely sure which side I'm standing on anymore.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story when it drops.